British fighter Chris Eubank Jr. gets at Jermall Charlo, says he ain't fought nobody. We gonna talk about it. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to my channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang, notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the super chats, channel donations, the Venmo donations, the Cash app, and the Patreon family. We working. Head over to Patreon. I revamped it. We working. I'm going to start putting more and more content over there, and as well as the YouTube channel member. So you can hit the join button to become a YouTube channel member. Also head over to the Patreon. We working. A lot of stuff coming in the works. We cooking it up. And another great way to support the channel is to click the link in the description and click on the ESPN Plus. Get the bundle that includes ESPN Plus, Hulu, and Disney Plus, all three apps, one price for $12.99 a month. I personally have all three. It's been great. You know, it's a ton of content. I haven't even been able to watch everything. I heard The Mandalorian's pretty good on Disney Plus, but make sure you cop that bundle. That's a great way to help the channel and also provide yourself with content during this quarantine. Now, Jermall Charlo gets blasted out by Chris Eubank Jr. It says Chris Eubank Jr. blasts Jermall Charlo as, quote, not a likable guy, vows to rip away his title. So this has been brewing for a little time now. Chris Eubank fought and was a champion at 168, and he's, said he was coming back down last year. His last fight with Korobov, that's a mutual opponent. Charlo, he beat him, but it was a late replacement, and Korobov gave a good account of himself. I was at that fight, covered that fight as media, and the Chris Eubank Jr. fight didn't end in a traditional way, which is the only thing that was kind of sucking, because Matt Korobov was getting off with some straight lefts, but then he ended up injuring his, pulling something, dislocating his shoulder or something, and the fight was stopped within the second round. So that would have been an interesting fight to see how it would have ended if it would have ended in a more traditional fashion. So Eubank Jr. became the WBA middleweight champion in his USA debut on the undercard of Charlo's successful defense. Right, so he was on the Charlo card. He says, quote, this is Chris Eubank, I've bumped into him a couple of times. We had a press conference before both of our fights in New York. Charlo, he's not a likable guy. Some people say I'm arrogant or cocky, but I'm a down-to-earth, decent guy. This guy is heads in the clouds. He thinks that he's more than he is. I would take great pleasure in taking him down a peg or two. Asked if he would target a challenge for Charlo's belt, Eubank said the following, quote, absolutely. I don't like his character. He's got the belt, so it will always be an interest. Anyone with a belt in the weight division, in my weight division, I want to fight. At this stage of my career, I can't afford to take any steps back, so title fights and big names are what I want. Texas's Charlo is a two-weight world champ and undefeated in 30 fights, but Eubank Jr. would not offer any praise for those achievements. Eubank says, quote, I can't comment because he hasn't fought anyone. He hasn't had any big tests. Okay, so some big words from Eubank. This is what he said. So let's get back to it. I can't comment because Charlo, he hasn't fought anyone. He hasn't had any big tests. Until he fights someone like me, we will never know how good he is. Anyone could look big and strong and fast against weak opponents. That's all he's had in his career. Dang, he going off. Okay. Until he fights someone like me, he will find out that this isn't a game that he thought it was. Eubank has previously claimed GENNADY Golovkin is the #1 name on his list right now. People put this guy's name so high, but I know I could beat him. I know that I have the tools and the style to take this guy out. My speed, my tenacity, I don't think he would be able to deal with. This is the main fight. Canelo, everybody would love to fight him, but he's not going anywhere. He will be in the game a lot longer. Golovkin will have a couple more big fights, then bow out. I've been trying to get this fight for years. This is the fight that I want. Okay, Chris Eubank. Listen, I ain't even mad at it. I mean, I'm not saying I agree with what he's saying, I do like Charlo. You know, some people try to slight Charlo's resume, but Canelo and Triple G, he's been calling them out. Can't get that fight, so he has to quote unquote wait in the queue, right? But he's also beaten guys like Julian J. Rock Williams, who later became a champion, right? And had a great performance against Swift Jared Hurd, who beat Edeslandi Lara. So that was in his previous weight division, but it's still on his resume, right? So that Cornelius K9 Bundridge, Charlo has some names in there. And, you know, the rest is just a matter. Charlo's not in a position like Canelo where he could just select who he wants to fight and then the fight will be made. So, you know, I disagree with Chris Eubank there. You know, I think Charlo's a great fighter, actually. So, you know, he's a fighter, so he's just saying his piece. He don't feel Charlo's all that. Listen, I would love to see it. Interesting fight. Chris Eubank has a style that's very frenetic. Not the most defensive guy, but he's working with Roy Jones Jr., so you don't know. You don't know what else he's learning and teaching. He has some good speed, throws a lot of punches. I don't know. You know, and as far as Golovkin, Golovkin just didn't look the same. So I think on any given night, a top guy can have Golovkin look bad and or beat him, because I don't think Golovkin has the same hunger and drive that he once had. But we have to wait and see. Like, I definitely think Charlo would beat Golovkin at this point. I would favor him. Chris Eubank, I don't know. You know, I'd have to see how his power looks at 160, because I didn't really get to see much, because he's been at 168 for a while and now he's traveled backwards, and the Korobov fight is just not enough for me to gauge, and I can't go off of his career at 160 like, you know, Billy Joe Saunders and stuff, because that was years ago. He says he makes weight comfortable and stuff like that, but I got to see more of him back at 160. That's just all there is to it. But hey, what better way than to make a Charlo fight versus Chris Eubank Jr. when this situation is over, this world crisis. Let me know what you guys think of Chris Eubank's comments. He really gets at Charlo and calls out Golovkin. You know, the other thing is, you know, truth be told, you have to say Chris Eubank's. For him to say that Charlo's resume is horrible, you have to look at like who is Eubank beat though too, because you know Eubank fought Yildirim and, you know, random people too outside of Billy Joe Saunders. He did fight George Groves, but you know George Groves had already lost to Carl Froch twice by knockout, etc. So let me know what you guys think. Make some sense of it in the comment section. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego, signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.